Welcome back to our Moms Coaching Moms weekly video that we're doing. Each week we're going to be covering a different topic. And this week we are actually starting to talk about back to school, because that's what a lot of moms are thinking about right now. And our question is, how does peer pressure affect you as a parent? Because that's where we want to start. We know that it starts with us as parents, as moms, particularly right now. And so that's where we're going to start. If you hang with us, watch for next week. Next week, we're going to go into how does this affect your child and what you can do about it, or your kid, your teenager, your young adult, maybe even. But today we're going to be talking, how does it affect us as a parent? So we have, Christine, do you want to talk about, because we have a special piece that we're going to show you today through an assessment that we've done. So I'm going to let Christine intro it a bit, tell you about it. We're going to show it to you. So here, I'll bring it up if you want to intro it.
All right, so one of the things that we love using is this wendii psychological needs assessment. So when you do this assessment, one of the things that we have found extremely invaluable for us is that it really does take you through what are your psychological needs to be your best self. And in that, you'll find all sorts of different traits, leadership styles, working thing, just all these different areas, diversity and inclusion, leadership capabilities, all sorts of stuff. And within this assessment, things that you'll find are what are some of the things that you struggle with, what are some things that make you you, what are some things that you want to work on. And it is such a great tool to really ask yourself, how am I showing up, and who do I want to be in that? And is this an area that I am working really well in, or is this an area that I can work on making some changes? And so when it comes to moms, we're always looking for different things that we can tweak, different things that we can change, different ways that we can be to help our family run better, to help ourselves run better, our communities. And so this assessment brought to us by wendii is just a great tool to use. And so we want to show you how in one of the areas it can really help us when we're preparing to go back to school.
Yeah, so one of the areas, so here you can see, this is mine, and you can see like all the different parts that are covered. A couple of these are specific if you're doing this within a business. So one thing to note is this isn't just for moms. This piece we had done up just for our moms coaching moms. However, you could go to just wendii.ai, or you can still do this because this assessment is not just for moms. There's no different assessment for moms, or like, well, I guess you could do like young adults or, business or anything like that. So anyone can take this. So, but here you'll see all the different things. Today, we're going to go into the mindset part, and you'll see like all these different pieces that were assessed out. And the one that we're going to talk about today is the needs external approval. So, which we found as we were talking about, like, okay, how does peer pressure affect us as moms? That's the one that like just jumped out at both of us, as was like, oh my goodness, that's the one we need to talk about. So you'll see these numbers all along here, and Christine's are right here, and they're different. Ours are different in some areas, very much alike in some areas. And the thing to note is, like, when you see these, it's not a good or bad thing. It's not a, oh, I got a high number, that's a really good thing. We're very trained for that in school. Oh, I got a low number, that's a bad thing. No, or oh my goodness, I got a low number, that's really good or bad. Like, there's no good or bad in this. It's how are you showing up? And that's what you had mentioned, Christine, which is like so important. And then it's like, who are you? So these are snapshots of like, who are you? And then you get to decide, like, who do you want to be? And so just because it's a low number or a high number, like, they might be very adaptive and very healthy for you as an individual. Or you might look at them and kind of go, that's not, I don't think that is serving me so well, or that is so healthy. And so I'd like to work on that. So today we're specifically talking about this needs external approval, which you can see here. It's basically taking actions to gain approval of others, ignoring those actions, often ignoring whether those actions are beneficial to reaching an objective, hesitates when you might think they might look bad to someone else. We might often personalize criticism when it's offered, even if it's offered constructively. And we might not do things if we think that it might be unpopular. So those are the kind of things we're going to talk about. And so, Christine, I'll let you get started. There's yours, but I'm going to stop sharing here because I think even just saying needs external approval, I think we all kind of understand what that is. But now we want to talk about what are our stories surrounding that. And so I will let you continue with that.
For me, growing up, needing external approval was definitely a thing. The questions running through my head for as long as I could remember is, am I enough? Am I good enough? Will I be enough? And for me, that meant in basically any situation, whether it had to do with school, friends, family, whatever, I always was seeking that external approval that I am enough, that you want to be around me, that I can somehow fit in. And so, very much, whatever was sort of the going thing, that's what I wanted to do because I really wanted to fit in. I needed someone else to tell me if I was going to be enough. And so, what do I feel when I think about the whole thing about going back to school? Sheer panic and anxiety. Am I enough? Will I be enough? How did that affect me as a parent? Greatly. That would be the short answer.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that I set my kids up that they would fit in. What sort of came along with that, though, is that if they wanted to fit in differently than I would have thought they should fit in, that became a problem. And so then I felt almost threatened, even in my parenting, that somehow I wasn't enough for my kid because they wanted to be different than me. So when my kids were a lot younger and before I really dove into personal healing and development, I definitely think that my need for being enough would affect me in all different ways, and particularly when it came to allowing my kids to have their own experiences surrounding school. And that included when I needed to homeschool our special needs daughter as well. That it was like I had to have something to prove because I needed to know if I was enough. And thankfully, it became a personal goal of mine very soon after starting to homeschool her that that was not the right way to be looking at it. And that was when things really started to shift, because at the end of the day, it wasn't about whether I was enough or not. And the truth is, we are all enough right in who we are. And we don't need to be something else for someone else's approval. And that was a very huge mind shift for me.
So when you saw that number, because I mean, just humanly, we can't help but like looking at numbers and going, okay, is this good or bad? And I know you and I have been doing a lot of work with this of like changing the wording of it. Is this adaptive? Is it maladaptive? Is it
Yeah.
healthy? Is it unhealthy? Like, but in the end, it's still sort of similar. And so for you, like what happened when you saw that number? Was that like, oh my goodness, look at that? Was it like, how did that affect you? And then for who you want to be also like going forward and stuff for that?
That is a fantastic question. And quite honestly, my first thought when I saw those numbers was, what the heck is all this personal growth been if I still have such incredibly high numbers? Then what happened is, thankfully, I was plugged in with the right people that were able to really actually help me see this isn't about good or bad, right or wrong. It's about who you are and who you want to be. And so then I was actually able to start to pinpoint that there's actually sometimes when external approval is important, and it doesn't have to be the be all and end all. It just is something that I'm psychologically motivated to hear, that I'm doing a good job, that I'm appreciated, that someone values me, and there isn't anything wrong with that. And it's okay to actually either be that person for someone else, be that person for yourself, or to surround yourself with some people that we really will encourage you to actually be who you are and who you want to be. And so then it just has continued to help me really step into who do I want to be and who do I want to be me with. And so what these numbers showed me after I got over the shock of thinking that I was a severely messed up individual was that I psychologically have a need for that. And so, how can I use that in a way that is going to keep moving me forward instead of holding me back?
Yeah, that's amazing. And it takes a lot to be able to look at stuff like that, to be able to sit back and look at ourselves objectively. It's a hard
Yeah.
thing to do.
Can you
It's
say
really hard.
integrating bravery much? Because
Yeah.
that's what I feel like I'm
Oh goodness, yes, yes.
doing.
So yeah, so for me, like I mean, that's something that um as people are around us more, like we are actually very, very similar. Yet it's been interesting looking through our assessments and stuff because there are areas that were very different. Yet, like even like last week, we talked about the topic that we talked about. We were sort of at opposite ends. However, we sort of came at it together, like in a similar way, which was really interesting to me. It's still kind of funny. So, for me, my number actually was quite low for needs external approval, which like similar to you that your number shocked you, it shocked me. And what I realized was it was a reason that it shocked me. So when I started looking back at like who I was, like, growing up in that, I actually was like, I didn't care about external approval. Um, I probably was a little harsh in that. I'd be, I don't know, I don't even know if I'd be interested in finding out what people thought. there's a very small piece of me that maybe would like to, but I also know that I could be really harsh with like, I do not care what you think. And I think that's something that's definitely has grown over the years to a more healthy place. However, so like I didn't believe that the where the problem came for me was that the people that I was surrounded with, how I grew up, and all of that, I was constantly told that I was too much, though. So I was constantly being told by people outside of me externally that I was too much. I was doing the wrong things. It was like, and I realized over the last like just short while here, as I've been going through my assessment, as I've been like digging into my triggers and all of that kind of stuff, is that I actually built my life based on judgments of other people. Now, at that point, I kind of had to, like it wasn't really a choice I had for how I grew up and such. And I sort of had to, but what I realized when I looked at that, I thought, oh, so okay, so building my life on this judgment of other people, what happened was I ended up conforming. So I ended up going into that. I would just conform. When someone would tell me what to do, I still remember like there were times where I would try and fight back, but it was just made bad. It was judged. It was like, okay, so I just gave up and I conformed, which I mean, that's kind of another whole story and piece of my story. But to do with this, I was actually shocked to see the number. I was encouraged to see the number. It also made me sad in a way to see that number but I was excited because I thought, yeah, that is in me. Yet I also saw such the huge disconnect over the years of why there was such a disconnect for me with my brain and who I am and who I am sort of like in the world. And so for me, then affecting me as a parent, well, I didn't want my kids to have to deal with that. I want my kids to be who they are. I want them to express themselves, to know who they are, to be who they are, to decide who they want to be. And so, like, we homeschooled all along. And I think I mean, you can't even count how many times people ask me, if I homeschooled because I was scared to send my kids to school or, whatever. And yes, I do know people who homeschooled because of fear, because of their idea of education, because, they were shamed in school, such. Like, I do know that. That wasn't a thing for me. I taught in the public school system. I didn't particularly like where it was going, and I wanted to do that. I wanted to have my kids home for those times of their years. And then so far, 3 for 3, they're going into high school, into the public system. But really, that looking at, for me, as how has it affected me as a parent, is like, I definitely felt that panic. Like when you said you felt that, I'm like, I felt panic too. Because we go back, and that's why we wanted to start this conversation around the back to school about how does peer pressure affect us as a parent, because that is where it starts. Because how we will deal with our kids is how we saw it, how we walked it through, how it occurred to us, how people helped us or didn't help us deal with it, how, all of that. And I mean, that's something that we've learned over the last, how long, doing emotional intelligence work and the shadow work and trigger tech, like all these different terms that we can say, is that it starts with us. And that's why we wanted to start the conversation here. So we actually are going to be going into more detail on our Wednesday calls, which is just for moms. However, we call it our NJAM conversations. So NJAM is for not just a mom, because we are more than just a mom. However, our Wednesday nights, it's 7 o'clock where Christine is at, on like Pacific time, 8 o'clock where I'm at in Alberta, so Mountain Standard Time. And it's every Wednesday night. It starts at there. It's totally free, but there is a Zoom registration that you have to do. It's totally free to come though. All moms. And do you want to talk about just with the Wendii, how they can, if they want to do I'll share the screen one more time, and we'll post the link as well with the video. But I will.
We can also post the link for the Zoom registration for our Wednesdays.
Good idea. For moms, and anyone seeing this can just share it with moms. And if it's not about this topic, we'll be on every Wednesday anyways, talking about another topic, then you can always join us. So.
All right. So Wendii, we would really highly recommend that you check this out, take this assessment. So the assessment itself is free, and you will get sort of like a brief overview of it. And then it is $7 a month to get your complete profile. And in there, like, you'll get all of these different I was going to say competencies, but that was the word on there. So all these different, the word has escaped me, but sections of
styles, and
exactly,
I don't know what
styles and
traits,
all those things. And you can schedule a debrief with us so that we can go over it. We have a lot of different things this way that you can join us both for one-on-one coaching, and we're going to be having group ones as well, where we'll have small group coaching where we'll be going over some different cornerstones in our life and how we can build that out to be our most authentic selves. And
we're starting to create courses.
Yeah, we are. So
yes, we are.
Oh, we are just so excited to be doing this, as you can tell. We're a bit raw around the edges, or sharper on the edges, or something that.
Oh.
Yeah, because we really are excited. We love to connect with other moms. That is sort of what drives us, and we are so excited to meet you. and to bring you into our community, and just so that we can really help one another. And
Yeah, we didn't even talk about, like, once you pay the $7, then we have another community.
oh, that's right.
Actually, if I totally forgot about that, but if you've heard of Slack, then it's just it's a community. But by paying the $7, then you also can join our Slack community for moms coaching moms, and
And
we chat
yes,
in there. So
yes,
yeah,
and
we
in
have
there,
lots
yeah,
of
we
different.
talk about, yeah, we have so many different things to offer. We really hope that you will join us and
Yeah. And if you're
share
not a
us with,
mom, please share it with a mom. Or if you're a mom
that's
to
right,
be, that's totally fine. All different kinds of moms. If you have moms like, and your kids are all gone from home, it's totally cool,
totally fine.
because all these topics we can relate them to you, to
Because even if
every
your
area.
kids are all gone and maybe you even have grandkids, then your kids can also come on here with you. So
Mm-hmm.
just come and join
Yes.
us. We would love to meet you.
Yes.